A dog followed the ambulance carrying his owner for nearly 3 miles down a country highway, running the whole way, never falling behind. When the doors closed and the paramedics disappeared inside that hospital, he sat down on the curb. And for 6 straight days, nobody on earth could get him to move. Not security, not animal control, not even a bowl of bacon, which, if you know dogs, tells you exactly how serious this was. His name was Duke, a German shepherd, 10 years old, with cloudy eyes and a limp in his back left leg that his owner, a 78-year-old widower named Frank, always joked was worse than his own. Frank lived alone on the edge of a small town, in a house that had gotten too quiet after his wife passed. Duke wasn't just a pet. Duke was the last living thing that needed him every single day. And that, it turns out, matters more than we usually give it credit for. One morning, Frank collapsed in his kitchen. A neighbor heard Duke barking in a way she'd never heard before, frantic, relentless, and came running. She called the ambulance. And here's the part that still gives people chills when they hear it. Nobody let Duke into that ambulance. Nobody even tried. He simply took off running behind it, on his own, matching its speed down the highway, and somehow he never lost it. How a 10-year-old dog with a bad leg kept pace with an ambulance for 3 miles is something even the paramedics couldn't explain. We'll come back to that, because the answer isn't just about speed. It's about something else entirely. When the ambulance pulled up to the emergency entrance, Duke arrived only a minute or two behind it. Staff tried to walk him away gently at first. He'd move a few feet, then plant himself right back down, facing the doors. By nightfall, he was still there. By the next morning, still there. Hospital policy is strict about animals, for obvious reasons, and at first, staff genuinely debated calling animal control to remove him, but something kept stopping them. Maybe it was the way he never barked, never growled, never caused a single bit of trouble. He just sat, waiting, watching that door like it might open any second and give him back the only family he had left. By day 3, word had spread through the hospital staff, then through the small town, and you're not going to believe what happened next. Nurses started sneaking out food on their breaks. A janitor brought an old blanket from his truck and laid it down without a word. A woman who worked in billing brought a collapsible water bowl from home and just left it there, refilling it quietly between shifts. Nobody organized this. Nobody posted about it online, not yet. It just happened, the way kindness tends to happen when people are given a good enough reason. Here's where it gets even harder to watch. On day 4, a storm rolled through. Heavy rain, wind, the kind of weather that sends most dogs straight under a porch. Security cameras caught Duke sitting through the entire thing, soaked to the bone, never once moving from that same spot by the door. A nurse who saw the footage later said it was the moment the whole staff stopped seeing him as a stray dog causing a problem and started seeing him exactly what he was, a family member who couldn't be turned away. So the hospital did something you don't see very often. They quietly changed the rules, just for him. A nurse on the cardiac floor, where Frank was recovering from a serious heart attack, started wheeling his bed toward the window each afternoon so he could see the parking lot below. And there was Duke. Every single day, right on schedule, looking up at that same window like he somehow knew exactly which one it was. Nobody on staff could explain how a dog picks out one window in a 5-story building, but he did, every time without fail. By day 6, Frank was stable enough for a supervised visit outside, and this is the part that made it all the way around the internet. When they wheeled him out in that chair and Duke saw him, he didn't bark, didn't jump, didn't do any of the things you'd expect. He just walked forward slowly, rested his head directly on Frank's lap, and stayed completely still. Frank, who hadn't cried once through the entire hospital stay, according to his own daughter, broke down right there in the parking lot with his hands buried in that dog's wet fur. Frank made a full recovery, and when he was finally discharged 2 weeks later, Duke was there waiting, same spot, like he'd never left at all. The hospital staff who fed him and covered him and quietly bent every rule they had lined up just to say goodbye. Somebody snapped a photo of that moment, Frank walking out on his daughter's arm with Duke pressed against his leg the whole way to the car, and that photo is the one that ended up everywhere. Because it says something most of us already believe deep down, but rarely get to see proven so clearly. Loyalty like that doesn't ask for anything back. It just shows up, and it stays, storm or no storm, for as long as it takes. If a story like this one softens something in you today, that's exactly why we tell them. We'd love to hear about a pet in your own life who showed you loyalty you never expected, so tell us in the comments. We read every single one. And if this story moved you even a little, tap that like button. It genuinely helps more people find stories like Duke's.